Hey, welcome to Wednesday of week 2 of remote learning. Today we're going to be continuing with lesson 4 that we started yesterday. And yesterday we talked a lot about the Boston Massacre. Okay? Today we're going to be not getting away from the Boston Massacre, but we're going to be looking at everything we've learned so far as a whole. Okay? Because today's going to be all about gathering evidence. And we're going to be answering our craft question of how does the evidence guide work? And the evidence guide is what's down here, this chart down here, which we'll get into later. We have some other stuff to talk about before we get to here, okay? So just a little bit about gathering evidence. You have been gathering evidence with every chart, with every question that you've answered, every organizer I've given you so far. So really, you guys should have a pretty solid foundation of things that have happened or things that are happening in this text as we're reading. And today there's actually no new reading for you, so I know you guys will be excited about that. However, it'd probably be a good idea if you guys went back and looked at the pages from yesterday, if you went back and listened to the old videos where I was reading there, specifically pages 17 through 22. I will also try to get those up as pictures for you guys so you don't have to go back and listen to me. You can actually look at the pictures and read it for yourself. That might be helpful as well, okay? So those are the ways that you guys are going to gather your evidence, whether you want to listen to me, reread it, and take notes, because I hope that you guys have been taking notes as we've been going through, or if you want, I will post a document with all the pages so you guys can read them for yourselves, okay? Now, the sentence I have under here is, we are writing an explanatory essay using the painted model to show both sides of the American Revolution. Okay? We talked about the painted essay the other day. And today we're going to be starting to gather our evidence to use in our painted essay. Okay? And underneath gathering, I wrote collecting, just in case you guys weren't sure what the word gathering meant. You guys are collecting, meaning you're going back through everything you've read and you're pulling a piece here, you're pulling a piece there, whatever you like that you think is going to help you explain everything that we've learned about the American Revolution from either the American side or the British side, okay? And I do want to pull up a larger version of the painted essay model really quick, okay? And painted essay. This is gonna break it down for you guys. I'm gonna post this picture on the stream of Google Classroom. I will post it for you when we actually start writing our painted essays, and you guys start sending me some draft type stuff. I will have this all for you. Just to go over it today to late, because we're laying the groundwork today. The painted essay is 4 parts, 4 paragraphs. That's it, 4 paragraphs. Paragraph number 1 is a pretty easy paragraph. It's your introduction, okay? Your introduction has 4 sentences. The first sentence is the hook. That sentence that goes out and makes your reader want to read. Throw that rope out there, bring them in. Say, hey, this is important. This is what I'm going to be writing about, and you should be reading what I'm writing. The second sentence is your thesis, aka your main idea sentence, where it tells your reader what you're writing is. You've gotten their attention, now you're telling them what you're writing about. Sentence 3 is your first point of view sentence, okay? It's point 1 and point 2. Point 1 here is going to be the colonist perspective. So you're going to write one sentence that states the colonist perspective. Then sentence 4 is the British perspective. So one sentence about the British perspective, and then you are out. That is your introduction, okay? Your proof paragraph, number 1, is going to be the colonist perspective of the American Revolution. Why the colonists wanted to go against the British, certain things that happened to them that made them do it, what happened when they actually got themselves together to fight the war, all of these things. And you're going to be taking notes today, gathering your information today, but then as we go forward, you're going to keep doing that same thing. Then proof paragraph number 2 is going to be the same as proof paragraph number 1, except from the British perspective. It's going to be, why did the British want to fight the colonists? What happened? Why did the British feel they needed to act against what the colonists were doing. And then I'm going to tilt down just a little bit. The last paragraph is your conclusion, okay? And your conclusion, as we know, closes out your writing. You restate your introduction, and you just sum up what you are doing, okay? And I'm sorry if you guys saw that I'm wearing sweatpants. I'm sorry I don't get dressed up more fancy for these videos, but I am teaching from home, and I am in my basement, so dress pants and a button down isn't cutting it for these conditions, okay? So that is our painted essay template. We're going to talk now a little bit about how we're going to start our painted essay. So before you need to gather all of your evidence, which we're going to be doing during your classwork time today, you need to think about your intro. We need to be thinking, what is our writing all about, right? And that goes back to here. We are writing an explanatory essay using the painted model to show both sides of the American Revolution. Well, if you know anything at this point, you should know that there are two sides to this whole American Revolution. That the first side is the colonists, aka America, and then the other one, let me put a little versus, the British. And in case you're not sure, I'll also put another liner note that for the colonists, it was George Washington, and then for the British, it was King George III. Just because we haven't talked about those two guys in a couple of days, and after all, the text we're reading is George versus George, so we should probably keep them in mind at all times. Oh no, my charts are all falling. It's just like at school where the charts fall off the windows. No big deal. But we know that we're talking about the colonists versus the British, right? But now, how are we going to put that into a sentence? How are we going to put that in an organized way for our thesis, okay? And the way that I've come up with is as follows. The two main sides of the American Revolution were the British and the colonists. Each side had their own perspective and reasons for fighting the war. That is our thesis. And that is our thesis because it covers everything that we've been talking about. It covers that we talk about both the colonists and the British, but it also talks about perspective because that's what this whole unit is about. Two different point of views and how they can cause a conflict. So the two main sides of the American Revolution were the British and the colonists. Each side had their own perspective and reasons for fighting the war, okay? Just like you've seen on every chart, there's one side that's the colonist side, one side is the British side. Then your last two sentences would be the colonists' reasons, and then the British guess what? Because I'm the nicest and the best teacher ever, you guys can use this exact thesis statement when you write your essay. You're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay. So we've done that together. You guys have pretty much done the most important part of your introduction with me. So that's pretty cool. Now, getting into our gathering evidence and our evidence guide. Okay? We've used these evidence guides before when we've done circulatory story and when we've done, I don't remember the other one, but we definitely did it for circulatory story. Okay? So I know that was a long time ago, but use your brains. This should look familiar. But what we did was, let me find a marker, is it says context, evidence, and elaborate. Those are your 3 columns, okay? Because you know that if you give a piece of evidence, you have to explain it, right? So it says which side, so obviously we have our 2 sides, the British and the colonists, and then we have what was the perspective, how was this seen? So something that the British did, or something the Americans did, and how did they see it? And then what happened as a result of this perspective, okay? So because the British thought this, and the Americans thought this, what happened as a result, okay? So, for me, I'm gonna start off with the British. What was the perspective? So one thing that I remember that kind of goes back into one of the things that made the British did that angered the colonists was that Britain said that colonists should save land for the Native Americans. And they made it a law. Okay? They made a law. Now, what happened because of that was that they told the colonists they could not move west. Okay? Now, on the colonist side of this argument, the colonists wanted to move west, right? And sorry, they were I got caught reading my computer. But anyway, they wanted to move west. So what they did, because they wanted to move west, is that they went west anyway. Okay? So now this kind of breaks down that the British made a law saying the colonists could not move west, but the colonists did it anyway. This is where that point of view and that perspective comes in. These were some of the reasons why the British were upset with the colonists, but also why the colonists were upset with the British at the same time. Your job today is going to be to find things that the British did that angered the colonists, or things that the colonists did that angered the British, and give both perspectives, okay? So what was the thing that happened, and then what happened because of that, okay? So here I said that Britain didn't want the colonists to move west. The colonists moved west anyway. They made a law saying that they couldn't go west. They did it anyway. Okay? That is it for today, guys. Please make sure you are getting your evidence guides into me and answering the questions I give you. All right? Thanks. Bye.